Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Mindset Monday. I'm Shelley Butler.
And I'm Yves Doucet.
Yes, you are. Mindset Monday, May
That's it.
5th.
Monday.
It's
It.
May.
It's May. Is it May already?
It is May 5th.
Wow.
I said so many May the 4th be with you. Yesterday, I was like, ooh, there should be a Star Wars mini series or something on TV. And there was.
Hmm.
Oh, wait,
Well, you don't have to.
I didn't even put my
It's just
helmet
you and
on.
I.
Oh.
I think they're like meant to have. If you were, they would look really cool.
And
That's. I look like Joe Rogan. That's why it's like.
Oh, no, you don't look
No, I
like
don't.
Joe Rogan.
Should shave my head.
You look much better than
Oh,
Joe
thank you.
Rogan. Yes. There we are. There's Katie's picture. Katie Dueron, we need you to come and fix the background for
Give
us.
me a quote.
Yeah. Give me a quote. We'll
It's
we'll
so
fix
nice
you
to
up,
have you back.
girlfriend.
It's so nice to have you back with us.
Oh, I have been so yucky for a week.
Hmm.
I suffer from vertigo. I haven't had vertigo actually in 2 years. It was 2 summers since I've had vertigo, and I thought to myself, "Oh, I've, I've fixed that, right? Don't I no longer have vertigo."
You still just have your face.
Oh,
Yeah, so you don't have, and so you had it, like it's been 2 weeks now that you've
I
had
woke
it,
up
right?
with it Wednesday morning, and it was so bad Wednesday morning that I couldn't drink water. I couldn't function. It got increasingly better. Unfortunately, this is the worst for me. It screens.
So just watch me.
Yeah.
So,
Just watch me. It's not too bad. No, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty
so,
good.
like it's this. I heard this. You want to laugh a bit?
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
to laugh.
So this, we
I
have
love.
you only have two problems in life.
Okay.
Either you're well or you're sick. And if you're sick, you only have two problems. Either you're going to get well or you're not.
So
And if you're not, you have two problems.
yeah,
Either you're going to die
yeah.
or you're going to live.
Let's deal with that.
If you're going to die, you only have two problems. Whether you go to heaven or you go to hell.
Ah.
And if you go to hell,
Well.
you only have two problems. Crispy or extra crispy. That's my joke of the day.
Uh, well, you made me laugh. That's good. That's good.
So, like I every time because I get sick too. Like everybody gets, well, a lot of people get sick. Not some people less than others, and it's I remember Richard Branson when I asked him the question, "What's your most valuable asset?" He responded, "My health." Like your health is so important. And
Everything.
so this is why Dovico, we spend a lot of time talking about health,
Yep.
food, exercise, mindset health, which is the
Yep.
most important thing. This
Recovery.
recovery. And this is why we say, hey, you're not there yet. Like we measure aura ring readiness. This is what we do. We measure that. If you're ready, if you have a readiness score, that says, hey, I'm ready for the day. If you don't, then go get some rest. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know how to recover. So as humans, we're really super, super bad at recovery. I did not realize that until I actually got a Nora ring. I would have told you that, every day I get up
Mhm.
every day and work out. My energy is really good. I've always had a really good sleep pattern. I believe.
Yeah, because you because what happens in delusional mind, we think we're fine.
I didn't have enough self-awareness. I
Yeah.
did not have enough self-awareness.
Well, that's
And then to get over the guilt, because now I have to rest.
mm,
Now I have to rest.
that's another guilt, right?
Well,
Great.
it is the guilt. I don't know if it may be just as a woman, we always feel that we need to be doing something. We always have
I have the
something to
same
do.
guilt. It's not like the something I'm doing, though. It's not the same something you're doing. It's different something, but we have the same guilt. The guilt feels the same no matter what race you are, what religion you are, what
Yeah.
sex you are.
Yeah.
It's a human behavior. You have guilt. Oh, I'm not doing enough. That's the guilt.
So the work
Huh.
that I had this week was to make sure that I was in recovery.
Yeah, to stop doing it.
Sans de guilt.
And did somebody tell you? Did somebody ask you? Maybe you shouldn't go to that meeting.
I have really great people in my life, right? That remind me that I don't need to be there in that meeting.
And that happened like even last, you're talking to me just last week
Owen
about,
did it for
yeah.
me on Wednesday, right? I was like,
What
oh,
did
I
you,
got a development, meeting. And then after that development meeting, I'm going to rest. And he's like, well, I can fill you in on that development. I'm going to be in that meeting. I'm going. And I was like, oh my gosh, absolutely. Do you know why? Because trust is about teamwork. Teamwork is about trust.
now, okay, so the same thing happened last Monday. I said, hey, stay home. I'm going to do Facebook Live. And you said, okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about vulnerability today, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
that's
we
vulnerable.
are.
Is that vulnerability
It is definitely it's
for you?
definitely vulnerability,
Did
right?
you
When
feel a
we
bit of guilt when when I said to you and when Owen said to you, you don't have to be here? Or did you feel a bit of not being enough or FOMO?
Well, I'm actually going to tell you, I had both of the times it's FOMO,
Mm,
right? So I've worked on my guilt for the last few years heavily, heavily, because I know that guilt is self-serving. Do you
yeah.
know what I mean? Like, oh, I feel so guilty, So it's truly self-serving. It doesn't actually help anybody else. And I think if you think that you're guilty or you put yourself in a situation where you tell others that you're guilty, then they will know how badly you feel about not being there, or how it's not a feeling, an emotion that adds any value. Guilt adds zero value,
Mm,
right? So it truly is something that's self-serving. So I wanted to let my guilt go because I know that I am enough. I know that I am worth it.
mm.
And I didn't want to just say the words anymore. I wanted to actually feel the feeling. You're absolutely right, Eve. You can do Mindset Monday. And did you do an amazing job with Mindset Monday? Last Monday, I was going to come in and do Mindset Monday. And then I was going to run home because my husband was having surgery. So that day, kind of thing. So I wanted to do it all. And then when you got up, like I didn't even say anything. You were like, "Shell, I got this." I got this, and I was like, "Great, perfect."
And keep in mind when you become vulnerable enough to say that, it's like I was like you were like I was vulnerable enough to say, Shelley, you want to stay home? I got this. And you were vulnerable enough to say, yeah, I'm okay. I'm going to take some rest here. I need to spend some time home. What
Yeah.
happened to me is you created an opportunity for me.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so I had sure I had done Facebook Lives in the past.
Yeah.
But I hadn't done it through like this is technology, right? I had to do it through technology. I had to create a conversation
Yeah.
I was uncomfortable with talking about the vote. Yeah.
Oh,
Right. I had to create a conversation using our software, using and then going using Zoom, using Facebook Live, all of that. And I challenged myself to do that all by myself. Now I had a little bit of help. Trent was here to help me. So I'm really grateful for that.
oh,
So thank you, Trent.
oh,
And
nice.
but I was challenging myself and it opened a door for me. I think you did the same thing for Owen. When you said, yeah, vulnerability creates a space for other people to show up. That's what it does.
Yeah.
So it creates a space for other people to show up the way that they can be of help, be of service. And it creates a community. Vulnerability does create a culture. There's no doubt about that for
It
me.
does.
Yeah. Because if you're not being vulnerable, you can't say that you need some help. You can't say that you feel guilty. You can't say that you have FOMO. What happens, and I'm just talking because Shelley's
What am I doing wrong?
so just like I'll just continue.
Okay,
Just
you continue. Go for
yeah.
it.
So it's
Because I
because you're
can't
not
hear
sharing the
it.
screen. You have to share the screen in Zoom. Go in Zoom.
I am in Zoom.
Share this, but because you don't,
Oh, forget it. I got it.
you got it.
I'm all right.
So this
I'll
is
be all
what.
right. I'll be okay.
So creating like having a conversation, like if you think about this from a man point of view, like I never thought vulnerability was a culture thing. It was never part of business. No, you go there, you do the job, shut up and do the job. But
Yeah.
the example that you were giving with Lynn this morning,
Yeah.
like about the ability to, the ability to, the ability for someone, like even in the Lynn's like a construction guy,
Construction.
yeah,
He's a
a
carpenter.
trade guy,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
this is rough and tough. Why does vulnerability work? Because what happens is if you can't say without emotions, without guilt, without being angry, what happens to the brain if you can't say things like, okay, that's not the way that I would prefer that you do it this way, or could you do it this way? If you can't do it without emotions, the brain's going to start making stories about what that means, and it's going to build up and build up and build up because you're not being vulnerable. And what happens with that over time is you start gossiping, you start like talking about people, you start blaming people, and you start getting angry. So then you start yelling.
Well, you do. So, for instance, Leonard's doing on a job, and he likes a clean site,
Mm.
right? He likes trades that keep after themselves, right? So every electrician goes in has to remove the wires, and there's all kinds of little pieces for electrical, right?
Yeah.
And at every outlet, all those little pieces are just kind of left there,
Right.
right? To scratch the floor because somebody's going to
Mhm.
walk across all that copper wiring.
Right.
It has a reason, right? The guys that are doing the decks are leaving mud across the floor,
Right.
right? Because they're out working,
Outside. Yeah.
outside, right? And this is a brand new location. So he would come home in the past and say things like, oh God, you can't find people that, want to take care of these things and take pride in their work. And of course, for Leonard, that is important, right? If you keep a clean location, you are taking pride in your work.
So for him, that's important.
It's very
So what did
important.
he used to do in the past?
Well, that's what I'm saying. He would come home, he would just, bitch about what's going on,
And I've done that too.
Well, we've all done
Yeah,
that,
you go to your
right?
best friend like you, and I would say, I would.
Can you imagine they would leave all that crap all over the floor? Like, I
That's
can't even believe
oh
it.
my
Lee,
God.
what is,
And then so you build it up. You build it up because you're talking to your
yeah,
best friends about this, and
yeah,
you build it up. You find somebody to gossip about, and it gets worse and worse and worse and worse in your head,
yeah.
and
Now
then
you go
find
back and
yeah
punch the electrician in the throat
because he did it again the
because
next
he
day.
did it again.
So you're amplifying because you're not vulnerable. You're amplifying the story in your head. That's what happened. But
Absolutely.
before
That
we
story becomes
This is
huge.
a beautiful story. So before we get to the next part,
Yeah.
I think we should get
Yes, let's
people on
talk
board.
about what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is ShowUp. This is our tool, and this barcode will actually get you in, so you can be part of this conversation. And we would love to have you here. So either use the link below. Deanne will post that in the chat as she always does. Thank you, Deanne. And
I don't think she's there. Maybe Felicia could do that
oh, maybe Felicia could do that.
or Trent. Yeah.
Deanne's not
I
there.
don't see her there. Mhm.
Oswaldo's here. My sister Cheryl. And Trent and Felicia. And you can also use this QR code. So you can take your phone and take a picture of this, not take a picture, but use your
Link.
phone and use your camera and your phone, and it will send you to this link and you
There
can
you go,
be there with
Felicia.
us. Thank you,
Yay.
Felicia. Felicia is the best. My bestie.
Okay.
All right.
So let's go to the first slide,
Okay.
just so people can like type in
Are
as
you
we go.
here? Are
Oh,
you here?
there's
Here we
Dion. I'm
go.
here.
Hi,
I know
Deanne.
you weren't
Yes,
far.
I knew she had to be
She's
so
there
close.
back for sure.
So we'll give you another second here to take a picture, not to take a picture, but take that QR code link. Everybody knows how to do a QR code now. If you do not, this is a great time for you to practice or copy and paste that link into your browser. And here we go. Belonging and vulnerability. What helps you feel like you belong in a group?
Okay.
Okay.
So how has Leonard changed?
So interesting enough, like we said, Leonard. Good morning, Cheryl. Like we said, Leonard would come to me, his bestie, and he would tell me about all the things that were going wrong on that job site.
So
Right?
so it's like you find somebody that's going to listen, and then
Yeah.
you start talking against that person or what that person did or that behavior that you hate, right?
Right.
And you like and every time like that's what happens. Every time you speak to it, you make it louder and louder in your head.
And that the person that's doing the thing
Yeah.
becomes
Well,
more and more bad.
and and then the other person, the best friend, will say, "Yeah, like I hate that person. I hate
Yeah,
those kind
yeah,
of people.
yeah,
Oh my God,
yeah.
right? How
Now
can I
we've
can't stand
created
them."
an energy vortex
And
of
then
hate.
and then he's This is what we do, right? And then with like and
Absolutely.
then it gets like you start to add on little like, oh my God, like you add on like things like the
Oh,
boots are
for
too
sure.
like size 14. He's got size
Size
14
14
boots.
boots. Yeah,
Or,
they're just
or maybe they
caked
go to
with
size
mud.
like you go, and then next time it's size 25 boots.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like and it gets
absolutely.
bigger and bigger. The
It gets
story gets bigger in your head like that.
absolutely.
Yeah, and then you get mad. What happened when I'm so funny? This is so funny.
Absolutely. And then you get angry. And then you get
Mm,
angry, you blow up,
mm,
right? You blow up
yeah,
and now everybody thinks you're an asshole on the job site. Sorry, I
because
was
you yell
a
at
lot
like you
because
go there, you have this pent up anger,
yeah,
and
and
this guy's looking and he said, "What happened? Like
what
that's
what
like what's going on? I didn't do
exactly.
anything." He doesn't
Exactly.
remember, or she doesn't remember.
But what does he do now?
This person that received that.
Well, what is Leonard doing now?
Oh,
Right?
well, let's just finish
Okay.
this. So
All
you
right.
go there and you yell at this. This person will have two choices that's being yelled at,
Yeah.
right? That person will either work the rule, you kill all innovation and motivation, like he'll do any, like he'll be afraid to do anything, or they'll leave. And
Yeah.
this Gen X, they leave.
Well, Gen X will definitely leave, and
I leave,
the millennial will give you the littlest bit.
right?
They will
Right?
half-ass that job. They will get in and out because working for a dill pickle
Pickle.
is not
I
what
can't
they're
work for
going
a
to
dill
do. They're
pickle,
not going to work for a
right?
dill pickle.
And would you work for a dill pickle?
I haven't.
Oh, I have.
No, I
I
have
haven't.
to.
I left.
I have to. I absolutely have.
I
And
have. I
it is
left.
so cool because Lynn Minette Lawrence is here.
Hi,
And
Lynn.
yes, and she knows
Awesome.
all about the dill pickle.
Awesome realtor. Thank you, Lynn, for selling my house.
Yes, Lynn, you need a great real estate agent. Lynn Minette Lawrence. She is
So,
City.
okay, so we believe in practices, pillars, and foundations,
We do.
right? And principles and
Yep.
foundations. We don't run by rules at Tobacco. And Lynn has adopted these pillars and
He
practices.
absolutely
And
has.
so tell me how has this has changed the way he runs his business?
So what I saw this time with Len is instead of him coming home with the anger,
Hmm.
um, he came home with the story about open communication. And somebody just posted
Wow.
that about letting the people on the job site
Open.
know what he needs and what his expectations are. And he was actually met with fantastic. See, when people have
So,
guidelines,
so take me down to what happened to the boots? Tell me how that worked out, like physically. People would like we relate to like how it kind of connects. The reason I think Len's a good example is we can relate to boots, like people walking
muddy
with
boots
muddy
on the
boots, right?
floor.
So
Absolutely. We can all relate to muddy boots on the floor. And what does it mean to you? So, muddy boots on the floor could mean a lot of things, but for most people, it means that you don't give a crap and you've just walked across this brand new floor with your muddy, scratchy boots. This is a brand new location, and Leonard takes pride in it. He wants other people to take pride in it as well.
so how did he address this with this man?
So,
I'm
he
assuming it's a man.
Yeah, so it is a man. It
Okay.
was men. And so he addressed it and he told them what his expectation is, what he desired for his team of guys that were there and how he expected the place to be in utmost kindness.
I'm laughing because I anyway.
It doesn't sound like Leonard.
Well, like it's like we men has have had a really like bad rap about being vulnerable and being emotionally intelligent. And here's Len,
Yeah.
like a hardworking guy of guys.
Construction guy
He's a
who's,
guy of
yes,
guys,
yeah,
right?
totally.
And he's being vulnerable and authentic without like and he like this is simply amazing.
It absolutely is. And of course, that's what he's created.
Mm.
He's creating belonging, but he's also created a space where they can be vulnerable as well.
Yeah.
Right. So, Leonard, I can't come in until 10 today. I have to take my father had some open heart surgery and I have to take him for walks in the mornings. You know what I mean? Now, no, nobody would do that before. Nobody would tell
Wow.
him that before.
They were
They would
afraid.
just
They were afraid of him.
well, not only were afraid of somebody saying no, but they don't want to tell people their personal lives. They
Wow.
don't want to, men don't necessarily, humans don't necessarily want to tell people their human lives. And Leonard didn't even need to know that. right? He didn't
Mm.
need to know that his father had open heart surgery and he needed to take his father out for a walk and he had to be there for him. But he created that. Leonard actually created that atmosphere within there because Leonard was vulnerable first and saying, "This
Yes.
is what I need. This is what I need in a location." And then the guys that work with him are able to say, "Hey, this is what I need." But at the same time that they created the vulnerability, they also created a sense of belonging through this vulnerability. So now if Leonard needs guys to stay a little bit later, they will,
Right.
right? If he needs guys to kind of rally around this week because he had some surgery on Monday, so he hasn't been able to be in. They have rallied around,
I love that.
So creating and in probably the most difficult setting, which is a construction
Yeah,
setting.
it is.
It's kind of like being in a restaurant setting.
Mm.
Very, very vicious type of confrontations,
Like
and
you'd have the same thing in a nursing home or the hospital or like it's like in a restaurant. Like it's always the same. Like it
it
doesn't
can
like
be.
this is a very I agree. This is a we're talking about non-traditional places to talk about vulnerability,
That's right.
right?
Yeah.
But a lot of workplaces, like the number one reasons, if you look at our local hospitals here, like their sick days are through the roof. They can't keep their staff healthy. It's because they're lacking vulnerability. They're
Absolutely.
lacking
They're not creating
that
that
space.
belonging, that
Mm,
space,
I
right?
agree.
And it is important for leaders, and everybody is a leader in their lives, kind of thing. But leaders, you need to really dig into this. There are so many podcasts, there are so many abilities for you to find out how to start creating this culture, this mindset within your organization. But it has to truly start with you. People
I
have a
agree.
very difficult time trying to express themselves. We have a lack of self awareness, very little self awareness. So let's read some of these comments. Common interest can help me feel like I belong. Yep.
Mm,
When people say thank you for something, the smallest act of kindness
yeah.
when people say thank you for something. In a group setting, I would say when others come to speak or being able to freely go speak with others. Definitely. When I'm heard both verbally and emotionally, open communication, I am good one on one, but struggle in group settings.
I do
Yeah,
too. I get that.
yeah,
Okay.
I get
Yeah.
that.
And you know, so the question is what helps you feel like you belong in a group? So
Yeah,
I would agree with most of these things,
yep.
being seen, being heard, emotionally and physically, but basic seeing seen. You
Yeah,
know,
what does that mean though? When I'm being heard both verbally and emotionally, like, and how do you know that you're being heard? Right? So we put a lot of,
well, for me,
Mhm.
look at it. Can I?
Yeah.
For me, when I said to you, like, I see you, I think you should consider maybe just staying home with Len. And I got this. And when you said yes, I felt I was heard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That you trusted me, that it wasn't going to be maybe not the way you would do it or perfectly, but you trusted me enough to say, yeah, you got this.
Yeah.
That's what it felt for me as a sense of belonging. You got this. And the way you expressed it afterwards, you didn't like it. I don't recall if you said thank you or not, but you said, I think you did say thank you. But the way you expressed it made me feel of being of service. Yeah, for
Yep.
sure, 100%.
Good.
And I think it's the way that, like you said it, you said something like, you don't realize how much I now know how much I didn't need to go,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Something like that, right? And that sense of being part of a team and being trusted, that's the way it felt. I haven't asked, I can't speak for Owen, but I'm thinking Owen would be the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. Owen and I talked about it, and it's exactly that, right? Sometimes we have to show that we trust, and sometimes that means creating space for others to go do the thing. You
Absolutely.
know, um,
Great answers,
but
guys.
I also feel when I'm heard both verbally and emotionally. So if you're the person that's sitting back and you don't feel heard verbally and emotionally, you've got to dig into that. You can't be
Yes.
pointing fingers at the other person for not hearing you,
Right. Because
verbally and
you're not
emotionally.
being vulnerable. You're not saying without emotions.
Yeah.
Like the energy makes a difference here. If you're sharing vulnerability with not a pity party, but or not an anger party, but more like a love and compassion, saying, "Okay, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I feel. This is what I. It's important to me." Right? If you share those things with vulnerability, you get a sense of belonging, or you'll get a sense of clear of what to do next. And we're going
Most
to get to the
definitely.
next slide.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
I'd like you to, so we're going to ask the question. The great answers guy. Create
Yes,
clarity.
create clarity. What's one thing you wish more people understood about you?
So as you guys are filling this out, maybe Shelley can finish the story about Len
Hmm.
and how clarity works when the other person doesn't accept his vulnerability or doesn't hear his vulnerability.
Yeah, so when we put ourselves out there and we tell people what our expectations are, what are what do we want from our day to day? What do we want at our job site? Um, you know, it's so important that we express ourselves um, with so much truth and so much good energy. See, the thing is he could come out of there and he could say, God dang it, you guys, like you're leaving the mud all over the place and this is unacceptable and this is not, how I'm going to run my job. Like he could do it in that way and that anger. And like you say, Gen Z would walk off the
You
job
just walk
site. They
out.
would
Yeah.
just leave. But you could also do it with expressing how important it is to you,
Mm.
right? And that's where I believe Leonard came from. I certainly wasn't there at the job site, but that's what I was hearing, that Leonard wanted to have everybody feeling that this was important. Now, I'm going to tell you
Mm.
when it didn't happen, when they walked across the brand new floor
Again.
with their rock boots again,
Yeah.
he simply just dismissed them.
Which
See, the thing
that's
is,
clear too, though.
it's extremely clear.
And I love that because it's like once or maybe twice and say, okay, like why am I not clear here? You're obviously not, it's not important to you or you're not listening. Either or, I have no time to do this. Right. I love that. I absolutely 100% love that.
Yeah, I think that we have to be, when we bring on staff, when we bring on employees, right? You have to kind of wait it out. You've got to see how people are going to get along. At Dovaco, I've heard many, many times it's not an easy place um to come to.
No, because we're asking people to be vulnerable.
We're asking people to be extremely vulnerable at
Mm.
Dovaco. As a matter of
Mhm.
fact, when you come in, you don't get a to-do list.
No. Yeah.
You get to be in discovery, and then we want you to have enough self-awareness that we want you to see what you believe needs to be done.
So what I'm hearing from you,
Mm-hmm.
CEO,
Mm-hmm.
is create clarity. This is what you like, and this is why it's important to you. And do it before you start talking to your friends about it or before you go in your head about it. So as soon as possible, address the issue
Yeah.
before you spin out in your mind, why, and then create some clarity about why this is important and why you want this done
Yeah, absolutely, most definitely.
as soon
As
as
soon as
possible.
you feel a reaction,
Mhm.
right? So as soon as Leonard felt a reaction, my God, look at the brand new floors. These guys have just walked across in mud
He'd address it right there,
immediately.
and then he would
So
express why.
so
Love that.
yeah, so it has to, yeah, you have to be first aware that you're
Mhm.
reacting. So at Dovaco, one of our practices is no reaction. Very first practice is no reaction. And so many people don't actually realize that they're in reaction. How
Yeah.
many times do we see this? That people don't even know that they're reacting.
Well, like think about it from even like if you're in a relationship point of view with your spouse or your kids or your friends. How many times have we not being vulnerable, say what we need to say, why it's important to us, and then what we do is we spill up, we come up with little stories. Oh, they canceled on me, or they're not picking up their socks, or they're
I
not
was going to
washing
say the socks
dishes.
one
The
too,
sock, it's
right?
in my book. So,
Yeah.
so for years I spent stories about what the sock meant and why, like my wife didn't. Like she wanted me to pick up this. All she wanted was not to be leave my dirty socks on the floor. That's all she wanted.
That's it.
But because we didn't have this communication of vulnerability, or I wasn't listening, right? Or there's not like there was an emotion.
Well, you had already made up a thing in your head
I
that
was
he thought that
I
you,
was gossiping about it in my head.
well, in
Yeah,
your mind, you went, I'm not clean.
right. Yeah, and that's
My
what we
wife
do.
doesn't like me because I'm not clean.
Instead of if she, but this is the thing. Like we've been married for 40, we've been together
Ridiculous amount of
49 years, like
forever.
so we've kind of worked out this little play that we do, and it's okay. But there's better ways to do it. It's just to express yourself. Say, okay, well, can you pick up the socks? Because whatever the reason is, so make it clear why it's important. Because I like
Yeah.
it that way, or like prefer that way, and my
Creating clarity,
mm,
right? Also may be that, excuse me, that the socks aren't important to you either. See, the thing is I realized a long time ago that the socks that Leonard left in front of, I mean, directly in front of the laundry basket for 20 years,
yeah,
right? When I, and what I did to overcome it is his closet was right there. So I'd open up the closet and I would
push it in. Oh,
push it in,
okay. So
right?
this is a thing with with
So
women.
it would pile up, and he would one day he'd say, because he has a lot of socks, he'd say, I have no socks. So yeah,
Uh,
right. So I couldn't wait for that day, right? That was right. I was
Set
like,
him
I'm
up.
gonna get him. I was
Mm,
gonna get him.
mm.
But that when that day came, um, it didn't do it.
No. Why?
In that moment, I realized
Mm.
that it had nothing to do with the socks. Absolutely
What was
nothing
it
to
then?
do with
I'm
the
kind of curious
socks.
now. What was that about?
I had made up a story in my mind that he believed that I was his maid,
Right,
that I was less of a person than him,
right.
right? So this sock story
Yeah,
created I was just there to pick up after him.
yeah.
And I saw my mother do it for my father, and I wasn't going to be that. I'm a career woman, right? But in actuality, when he said, "Where are my socks?" and I thought, "Ha ha, they're all in the closet." I felt stupid. I
Mm.
couldn't believe what a stupid thing I had done that I believed was going to give me vengeance. I was going to get revenge for that. It had no meaning for me.
If you think about this, guys, most relationship ends. I'm talking about business relationship, personal relationships, ends on something stupid like that.
Always.
Always,
I think it always ends on
always.
something
Because
stupid like that.
And don't forget that a behavior is something that we practice over time and it becomes automatic. We just don't think about it. It's just the way we are. And to change something, we have to change the way we see ourselves, how we feel about
Yeah.
ourselves. So when you're vulnerable, what happens when you're vulnerable and say, okay, it's another way to see yourself, right? So when we are talking about vulnerability and say, hey, Shelley, consider not, taking the day off because you've been sick. I got this. When we have that conversation and you say, you know what, I'm grateful for that. Thank you so much. What happens there is we have a vulnerable conversation and I took it upon myself to stop playing second fiddle in this Monday morning live and go on the offensive and say, what can I do that I haven't done yesterday? And you decided to take some rest.
I had
So
to.
we
Yeah.
stepped out of our personalities
Totally.
because we felt safe.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
when you step out of your personality,
Yeah.
when you feel safe and you step out of your personality, you discover something new about yourself. This is living. It's not living in the same way over and over again. It's discovering something new. And this is what vulnerability happens.
Yeah,
Makes happen. So
it's so beautiful. It's interesting. We had just recently one of our coworkers here was sick, and she was sick for a whole week.
mm.
And then her grandmother passed.
Oh yeah.
And we had a Monday morning, or we had a Monday meeting. We were going into this Monday meeting, and there she was. I was like, "What are you doing here, honey? Oh my gosh, just say her story. Shall I just need to be here? I just need to be here." And I was like, "Okay, certainly you be here, but please know that, go at any time, right?"
And that's okay too.
After that meeting,
Mm.
she sent me a long note to say, and she's relatively new, and she sent me a long note to say, I couldn't take any more time after being sick for a week.
Wow.
Right? So that's how we feel,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's exactly how most of us feel. Oh my gosh. You know, but life happens.
It does.
And I
Yeah.
wanted to let her know that I understand that life happens. See, that's what Dovico is really trying to do. We're trying to create the clarity. I'm not just saying take the time you need to
I mean it.
recover.
Yeah.
We're saying, you know,
Take the time you need to recover.
absolutely. But the jobs that she's been on, that hasn't been the case.
Yeah, and I can understand if you're operating a restaurant or if you're operating a job site, like that's more difficult. I
It
understand
can
that.
be, yep,
We've organized our business so we can actually do that. We have enough staffing
yep.
to do that. And but it's part of organizing yourself so you can actually do that with people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, creating clarity that I'm human and that I can make mistakes. I feel that we need to
Mhm.
do that for each other and that sometimes we can forget that we can make mistakes.
Love that.
I love that. Absolutely. That telling me the truth with respect is better than hiding and talking behind my back. This is what happens. This is what
Okay.
Eve and I are trying to talk
I'm gonna
about
like
here.
that.
Yes.
Oh, I can't
We're
wait.
gonna,
Oh yeah.
yeah, we're absolutely gonna love that. So this is exactly what's happening. So I'm gonna tell you right now, if somebody is in reaction, they are definitely going to go talk about you. They may not talk about you with another coworker, but they're gonna be out having a drink and talking about you. They're gonna take that stuff home and talk about you. You know, it's super important that you tell the person the truth. You say you cannot walk across these floors with muddy boots.
Because
Hey,
yeah,
electrician, can you stop leaving all your
yeah,
little bits
yeah.
of
It drives me nuts.
it absolutely
Mm,
drives me nuts.
mm.
Hey, developers, when you're in there and you see some code that's no longer working, can you make sure that you remove the code?
Yeah,
You know, even it might not be your code. You know,
yeah.
if it, even if it's my code,
It's like
can we clean up each other's mess
love that.
without being upset about it, you know? This is a great question. I'm doing some deep reflection. I like to think I do a decent job of being open and vulnerable, but I am sure there are things I hide and maybe not even realizing it. And this is it.
So this is the thing, right? Like becoming aware that you're actually hiding it is part of the process. If you're not aware of your thoughts, like I was talking to a young, my niece actually, we were having a discussion yesterday, and she's just graduated from law school. She's a lawyer now. She passed her bars, her 3 bars, and she was saying she was doing something. Her last exam, she was saying to herself, "Oh, I frigged up my exam. I frigged up my exam." And then she said she stopped because she came to Beyond the Noise, and she stopped and she says, "Why am I thinking that way? I don't know the answer to the future. Why don't I think I passed the exam?" So she went home and she told her boyfriend, "I passed the exam," and her boyfriend said, "You knew already?" I said, "No, play." She said, "No, play with me." I just love that story.
It's
Yeah.
and that's it, right? So the negative, you're made up of negative bias. The negative is going to come. It's kind of like I remember doing a breathing class one time and they were saying, just concentrate on breathing in. I promise you will breathe out. Right?
Just
Breathing out will
breathe in.
just happen. I want you
Yeah.
to just concentrate on breathing in, you know? And I thought, oh my God, you're absolutely right. We have to stop the noise, right? And we have to understand sometimes that manifesting it is really where the energy can create itself, right? That
And I think that is a great, really tip to understanding if you don't see yourself, take a breath. Take a longer breath. Take a longer
yeah.
breath. The longer the breath, the more you'll see yourself.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. You will, I promise you, you will breathe out. Your body will actually just do that. Um, but being vulnerable takes a lot of
It
self-awareness.
does.
I remember when vulnerability became such a huge thing at Dovico. So it was after Eve's lawsuit. On Monday mornings, we didn't do Monday mindset. We actually did it in front of the staff, and it was just kind of a way to get our week started. And Eve, the lawsuit was done. He was expressing to us every day how he felt,
Mm.
good, bad, or ugly. Some days we cried together. some days we rallied around Eve, but bottom line, he was vulnerable, vulnerable in everything that he felt, and in everything that he said. Um, and so many, especially men on the staff, would come up and say, "Do you think that's right? Do you think that that's good? Do you think that that's the way we should be doing this?" And what I knew at that time was this was going to be the road, not only of recovery for you, but this was going to be a road for Dovico to be able to tell our truth with respect, but being having enough self-awareness that this was our truth, whether it was right or wrong, but as long as we verbalize it.
Yeah.
See, the thing is the socks don't matter.
It's the story that we make about
It's
the
the
sock.
story that
Yeah.
we make up about
And
the
it's the
sock. Yeah.
stories we make up in our heads. And if you don't see the stories, you're gossiping with yourself and then you're pulling other people, you gossip with other people.
Yeah.
And social media is full of gossips.
Yeah, social media can be full of gossips. I know
It's
uh
all stories.
it's people's thoughts and people are sharing their thoughts. I know I don't block people, but I removed somebody from my timeline today that kept showing up and talking about how terrible the world is,
Yeah.
how terrible the world is because there's people that are homeless because of Trump, because of, odds and ends kind of thing. But every day he would show up in my feed and he's a friend with such negative energy that I protect my energy to
It's
the nth
important.
degree.
It's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I just removed him from my feed. I didn't block him, but if you're waking up every day and you are mad at the world,
Mm.
you've got to create some space for yourself.
I heard this, and I don't know if it's true or not, but well, one thing I know, it's like approximately every 7 years you rebuild your whole body.
Yep, that's true. Yep,
Okay,
skin,
so
everything. Yep.
everything, including your personality. Did you know that?
I didn't know about personality. You had told me
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So that's why every 7 years you change friends. Your friends changes every 7 years. So
Oh,
they did a study on this actually, and
wow.
they've this on the average, it's just an average. Don't like quote me on 7 years, point zero
Yeah, yeah,
seven
no,
years,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
But approximately when your body kind of sheds its old skin,
Yeah,
you're shedding all your old proteins. Your proteins are created from your DNA,
yeah, yeah.
right? And your DNA expression is also your expression, your personality. So when you're shedding part of your personality as you learn new things, you are shedding friends every 7 years.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
So the trick now, instead of becoming lonely as you get older, you become lonely and lonely and lonely. No, the trick is to go find new friends. There's 8 billion people.
Yes.
There's so many new friends. So go find new friends now that you know,
Yeah,
right? You're not, it's not because you can't get along with people. It's because it's part of the process of evolution. Go find new friends.
absolutely.
Isn't that a
Absolutely.
great study? I love that
I
study.
love
I
that
don't know,
study.
like I haven't researched it, but yeah.
I just want to leave you with this. So if you are at work and you are finding that you don't belong,
Hmm.
you're feeling some low energy when you go into work and you're finding that your belonging there seems to be not quite as good as the guy in the other cubicle. I want you to create more vulnerability.
Be more vulnerable.
When we are socially connected is when we are the happiest.
It's true, true.
You need to make sure, whether it's true or not, your feelings matter
Mhm.
and your voice matters. So speak about the thing that you are really afraid to
Hmm.
say to others. It's
Cool.
okay. Be vulnerable because vulnerability will bring you um, probably the most amount of belonging that you'll ever feel because you're becoming socially connected. When we just do surface stuff, how's the weather? You know, we tend not to create that belonging that we need.
Yeah.
And belonging is how you're going to create a better culture within your organization. I want you to wake up every day and I want you to be so excited to go to work. I want you to be excited about the things that you're taking on. I don't care if you work at Home Hardware or or you work at the UN. It doesn't make any difference. You deserve happiness. And the way to happiness is through social connection. Doesn't mean that that's online. It means that when you share with people, you share vulnerably, and um, you share what's on your heart. Doesn't need to be right. It doesn't need to be not necessarily even reviewed. You simply just want to share what's on your heart.
Love it.
Yeah. I'm Shelley Butler,
I'm Yves Doucet.
and this has been Mindset Monday. Mwah. Love you. Get your workout in. And how are you showing up?
It's great to see you.
Oh, so great to see you.